Hey golfers, and welcome back to my channel. Now this is a really exciting video today for me, hopefully for you, and that's for two reasons. This is episode 1 of Chase the Open. If you watched that last year, you'll know I obviously didn't make it, but it was really good fun, and this year hopefully I can do better and go all the way. Number 2, which is part of number 1, is I'm enlisting help, okay? And this golf coach that's going to help me out is phenomenal. I've been seeing his stuff for a very long time, and finally got the chance to meet and catch up with him in Dubai during the Skillest Pro-Am. We hit it off, and I really think this is somebody that's really going to help me with my golf swing. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, your golf swing is fine. I know it's not, particularly under pressure. My tendencies show up, and that just bugs me, okay? And I can obviously work on my own swing, but it's very, very difficult. And if any of you out there have done that, you'll realize how difficult that is. So it's good to get some expert advice as well. And we're going to take you through that series. Now, what's cool is this is all going to be done remotely. Me and Jay are physically not going to meet. It's all going to be done through Skillest, and it's phenomenal. I use Skillest, Jay uses Skillest, and you will see how effective and how efficient this is, and also how good Jay is going to be at hopefully helping me with my golf swing. So let's get into it. Hey Jay, thanks so much for taking me on. I hope you know you got your work cut out with me. So I just want to start this off, as you said, tell me a little bit about your game. Obviously a great way to start. Okay, now my game has improved massively. So a bit of background, as I took about 8 years off golf, I didn't play any golf, picked it back up around about a year ago today, and ambitiously decided I would try and chase the Open, which we're doing again this year, okay? Now, as the year has passed, I've played a lot of golf. Have I got better? Yes. But when I look at my swing, and I just see the same tendencies that I feel, okay? And I know that sometimes you'll see something maybe different versus what I feel. So I just want to give you a rundown. First of all, ball flight tendencies. My miss is 100% right, okay? That if I'm going to miss it, it's more than likely going to be to the right. And that gets worse under pressure, which is the reason I'm seeking this help to begin with, because I can stand on a range and work on things and hit really good shots. But under the gun, and I probably haven't put myself under enough pressure, but when it does, that's when the right shot comes out, okay? Yeah, so definitely to the right. I will also suffer with some toe contact as well from time to time. Definitely with the driver in particular, and the irons a little bit, but I kind of get away with it with that. Obviously, I'm sending you my slow-mo swings as well, so I'm really excited to see what you think of those. And yeah, hear your thoughts and your drills that you're going to prescribe me to help me. But my feels, anyway, I want to explain is, so I'll get toe strikes a little bit, very, very rarely, but I'll maybe catch it a fraction early in the ground. That's an extremely rare one, but definitely toes, definitely miss to the right, okay? Feel-wise, what I work on is, and this is actually going to be really nice to open up about this, because what I've been working on versus then what I see, and I really want your expert opinion. I don't want to sway you in any way. This is just what I've been doing, okay? My tendency is I feel I get long at the top, I get a little bit open, okay? Obviously my arms bend, all these things. It really infuriates me, and I know that when I get up here, it is literally just save mode, and because I'm pretty decent with my hands, I end up saving it a lot of the time. But under pressure, I can't, okay? And that's a big belief for me. It's like, let's get this golf swing better so it can hold up under pressure. So that gets up. I then kind of pull it down steep. These are feels, okay? And you can tell me different. You're the expert. But as I get in here, I feel trapped, and then I really have to thrust that right arm, and I get a lot of face activity through the ball, okay? Which is interesting. I don't hit it left with that, but I just think years ago I used to hit it left, and I've held on to everything as best I can to stop it. So now I would say the misses to the right, okay? Something that really infuriates me, and you probably get this all the time in your lessons when people send stuff. When I hit a golf shot, my really bad swings, you'll see the back of my golf club there, and that is like spoke. I just don't like that, okay? Now, obviously, that's a reaction to something before. You'll tell me. So, yeah, those are the things. Ball flight, miss, strikes, a little bit from the toe. Generally hit it good majority of the time, but those are definitely my weaknesses, and that kind of spreads all across the bag from short clubs to long clubs. All right, Jay? So hopefully that hasn't completely blown your mind, and you still want to work with me. All right. So if you can fix all that by June for Open qualifying, you're some pup. All right. Thanks so much. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what I got to work on.
David, my friend, thank you so much for sending me your swings across. Very much looking forward to getting going with you and very excited to be part of your quest for the Open. I'm also very appreciative of you sending me across what you believe was going on and a lot of information about the ball flight. I think that's super, super important for me if we're going to improve here. I think it's important to tell me what the bad strikes are and what the bad misses are. And that's exactly what we're going to go through here.
Sorry to interrupt the video. Now, what Jay is about to explain about my golf swing was completely eye-opening. I literally had never thought of this before. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, right? So make sure you're following along on the journey. Hit the subscribe button. And currently I'm on holidays, much nicer than home. And I have brought the tools to work on what Jay has told me. So let's get back to the video.
Breaking down your golf swing, I think you do so much good stuff in there, and clearly we need to take out that right miss. And the club face is an issue, and we are going to get onto that. Now, looking at the setup, I think for the most part is pretty good. Okay, I like the way you're setting up nice and square here. I think for somebody that likes to see a cut, you've got a lot of good things in there, like where the handle is built in. Like, of course, if you push the handle too far forward, you could bring in more of a draw bias pattern and certainly push the face more open. So I'm quite happy with where the face on stuff is. Down the line, I think there is a couple of things you could improve on. Firstly, when I look at your address position, if I draw a line down from your armpits, I think it hangs just a little bit too far over the toe line, okay? And another giveaway for that is when I look at your feet, I think I can see that there's some shadowing under the foot, and I can see where the where the pressure's moving through the foot, and I think that's just a little bit too far forward, which could put you out of balance at different points in the swing and really harm your ability to move how we want. And also, if you're effectively too far away from the ball, could equate to some toe strikes as well. So something to think about there. But going through the swing now, as we start to break this down, some lines that I like to draw is one through the shaft, hosel, through the elbow and up through the shoulder blade. I'll also like to box you in just so we can see what's going on. So we're going to see some generic movements there, or see how you're moving. And I like to box in the hips, head, and I personally like to track a little bit of the lead shoulder and just see how that's working in relation to the body as well. So we'll start off with the down the line stuff. As I've already said, I think posture is a little bit too far out on the toes. I think armpits hang a little bit too far out in front of you. And then as you start to move into the backswing, I think from a takeaway position, the initial takeaway is pretty clean. So really good through here. And then we start to see a position where the hands start to pitch perhaps a little bit more away from the body than I personally would like. And I'll go on to this in a moment. But I am quite happy with how you've organised the club face into this position, somewhat matching spine, which for someone that gets the face a little bit open, I think this is a really good place for you. As we work up a little further, again, I'm really happy with where you've got to, and we'd call this position P3. From here for me is where it starts to break down just a little bit. As we move into the backswing, you start to move your hand path more vertical, okay? So now it starts to lift. As the hand path starts to lift, I believe a couple of things go on. Number one, we start to twist the forearms. And again, as I jump on camera, I will show you this, but I believe we start to twist the forearms, which makes the wrists point in the wrong direction, and you can get a little bit extended in the wrist as well, a little bit cuppy. So, you know, when I look at this position, we're now in a position where, let's change the color here, we're now in a position where the hands aren't particularly deep, okay, which could be a good thing. And when we say deep, we're talking about the hands and how far around the body they're moving. But I do see that when a player starts to lift and struggles to get deep, they do try and get the club still behind them, and they start to twist the shaft in an effort to move the mass of the club more behind them. Because you're a good player, you recognise that we still need to get the club travelling somewhat behind us, regardless of shape of shot, okay? So from here, you've gone quite high the forearms have twisted to the right, the wrists are a little bit cupped, and the club face is pretty exposed at this point in time. So right now the club face is quite open, and we would know that because it's drooping downwards, okay? So again, I'll go through what those positions really look like when I jump on the camera properly for you in a moment. But for me, of course, those are going to cause a lot of issues and compensations into the downswing, where you then start to get, you know, you shut the forearms as quick as possible, you start pulling down, you do fix up the club face pretty nice, but as you can see, we're now in a situation where the club is outside the hands, and my biggest concern is it's quite narrow, which does give you these toe strikes as well, and that's where I'm going to go on to this right hand image right now. So as you move into the backswing here, again, really good. Maybe off center for a little bit too long. Again, what I want to do is give you one or two pieces that will really help you control the face and the ball striking. So I am going to give you some drills for this, but you can see that you go to the top and your arms begin to bend a little more than I would be comfortable with. And as you start to come down, you maintain that flex in the arms, which narrows the radius, meaning, or shortens the radius. So this is the furthest away this thing could be, and this is the closest it can be to me. And we can really see here that your arms are quite bent into the body. Now, if my arms are bent into the body, would that make the club head closer to me or the ball? Well, that's going to make the club head closer to me unless I drastically throw my levers at it, throw the arms at it, and then try and get everything extended, because right now these elbows are far too split at this point in time, and then you have a lot of work to do in an effort to try and find strike, and that's why I think you see so much of this into the later side of the swing. So to summarize, the things I really want to do with you and the areas I really want to take you through: fixing up a little bit of the forearms and where they travel, followed by a little bit of radius control, and I'll give you some good drills. I actually think one thing could be used for both. So I'll jump on camera and I'll show you exactly what I want you to do. Okay, David, so going through this in a little bit more detail. For me, I think that we could improve a little bit of the setup, followed by how and where the arms travel in the swing, okay? So for me, when I look at your setup, we saw that your heels were almost off of the floor. Your armpits were dangled out over the toes, okay? And I think this puts you out of balance. And I tend to feel like when players get into this position, it makes it incredibly difficult to finish off the swing, okay? Or again, another thing that could happen when we look at the toe strikes, I do believe it's the radius, but again, if I'm on my toes, look where I could go in parts of the swing as well. I could end up sitting back into a balanced position, which then pulls me away from the golf ball. So just from a setup position, I want you to pay close attention when you do video to where the armpits hang. So for me, it is going to feel like your armpits are, and you can do this with a stick where you can just pop, I mean, I always like to do it this way, where you pop a stick into the shoe like so, and when I stand here, I'm balanced because these pieces are over each other. Now, how can I get into golf posture? I'm too short for this, but how can I get into golf posture and still have these pieces over the golf ball? So you can see here, have these pieces over the stick, I apologize. So you can see here that my ankles just inside the knee, hip joint and armpit more in a line at this point in time. So I'm quite happy for the armpits to sit just a little bit more over the laces and on the edge of the knees. I think that will give you way more balance, and it's going to make you feel a little bit closer to the ball, which I don't think would be super harmful for the contact and ability to move. So that's the very first thing I'd say. The second thing I'd say is, into the backswing, you do a wonderful job of the takeaway. I really like how steady the arms are. You really turn well in the shoulders and chest, and you get the club into a fantastic position. But as you start to move from this takeaway position, which we'd call P2, towards the top, the arms start to lift. Now what we know is when the arms start to lift, they will start to rotate a little bit to the right in an effort to get the mass of the club head more behind you. And as you do that, the forearm will go this way. And because you are pretty good at hinging the wrist, that's why when you get to the top, you get this appearance of it being a little bit laid off until it goes long, but a little bit laid off, the face open, a little bit of a cuppy wrist, and your hands are facing in the wrong direction. And from there is a lot of saves. As you're quite aware, when it gets into that position, we then throw the forearms in the opposite direction. It falls down quite steep, and from a face-on perspective, it gets quite narrow. And as I was saying to you there, if I have my arms more bent and narrow and towards me, that's where your toe strike comes from, because my arms are the longest and my wrists are the longest. That club is the furthest point away from me. Okay, whereas for you, you've got the cuppy wrists and you've got your elbows flexed, and then you come down and you're in here, you can't quite reach the golf ball. So for me, the length of the arms and the wrist really dictate where you're going to strike the ball, either out the toe or the center. And that's really what I want to focus on in this lesson as well. So to summarize, what I'd really like you to do is get your armpits more over your knees. For you, that is going to feel like you're probably a little bit more back here. You're probably going to have to adjust a little bit from here. Keep the takeaway as it is, but then into the second half of the swing, this is where the changes are going to be made. Okay, and we're going to build in some width. We're going to build in some better arm structure, and I think the wrists will be part of that as well. So here's what I want you to do. Once you've done the setup, what I would really like you to do is grab one of these, and this is how I want to work with it, one of these connector balls. My personal one is by Shore Golf, and it's got these bars, and these bars are going to be super important for you, okay? And I've also got a resistance band. Now, ideally, one a little softer than this would be ideal, just to feel some stretch. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this resistance band around my neck. I'm going to put the bars through the loops, and it can, number one, be quite helpful because when I throw it down the range, it doesn't come out. And number two, we're going to use it for width. Okay, so when I push this thing away from me, I can feel like I'm pushing away from me at the right times and in the right places. The second thing I really like for this is the bars and the pointer, because again, if I'm starting to get too much rotation, I will just see these bars roll around, and I want them again pointing in a certain place. So for me, I think this is going to be a great training aid and drill for a few different things. What you're going to do is you're going to place this between the forearms, like so, in a better setup, ideally. And then this is what you're going to do for me. As you start to work into the backswing, you'll see that these bars are pointed downwards. Okay, so they're slightly on an angle like this. I'm not spinning the bars immediately, and neither were you, to be fair. Okay, but into this part of the swing, they're here. Now, as you start to work to the top, this ball would work straight upwards and start to rotate, and your wrist would cup. Effectively, that's what happens. I would like to see that this ball orbits you a little bit better. That is going to give you the sensation that this right arm is actually moving a little bit more around the rib cage, like so. I'd like to think that that is going to increase some of the depth to the swing. I do think you could take a little bit of that because it will stop you coming down as steep. A little bit of depth in the backswing. And we can assume that it would take out an amount of the roll of the forearms, which puts the shaft and the club head behind you. So from here, what I'm certainly looking for is the takeaway to remain the same. Into the second half, I want you to feel like this ball moves a little bit more around you. Of course, it's going to move up. But you're going to feel like you're not rolling it to the right as well. So it's almost going to feel quite deep and across the line. I don't think you're going to get there, okay? But from here, good takeaway. It's going to feel a little bit more around you. I'm feeling like I'm not twisting the bars. And you'll feel immediately how that feels like it's much more shut. Because there are things, and I'm going to take this off for a moment to explain a little more about the club face. Okay, there are things that make the club face play open. So if I put the shaft, if I put this tour stick down the shaft and we just look at the face here, we would regard that as the club face being square to the shaft, open to the shaft, or closed to the shaft. So what things make the face open? Well, of course, when I either extend the wrist, which we know we have a little bit of, or bow the wrist, but also not just in the wrist angle, the forearm, like my whole shoulder joint, if I twist it to the right or the left, can make that play as well. So what I'm saying is, as you start to work into the backswing and your hands start to go up to the top, the twisting of the forearm can make the face play more open and across here. And that's when I get the appearance of this looking a bit more in extension, a bit more cupped. And then of course from there, you come down quite narrow. I'll take out the band for a second, but as you start to work into the backswing, I'm certainly looking for you with the band to be pushing this ball away from you at all times, including the downswing. So we're making effectively a bigger circle. Combined with not allowing the ball to rotate in your head, that's what it's going to feel like. So it almost feels like I'm twisting the ball this way. Allowing the ball to work around the body. So again, to summarise, as we start to work this ball around the body, we're not going to let it twist and we're going to push it away. So more like this, opposed to here. And then I like this because when I use the band, I can feel that it's the same distance away from me throughout the duration of the swing. And that's when I feel like you're going to get the most control through the hit rather than have to very quickly give all the angles away again. Because we started with our arms somewhat extended. We started with them somewhat straight. So I'd really like to return them somewhat straight. So here's what we're going to do. Got the ball. I'm going to feel like the ball orbits me that little bit better. I'm going to push it away and feel like I'm not rotating it. And then I'm going to come through, squeezing it. That's all, nothing more than that. So from here, stretching the ball, not rotating the arms. Nice straight arms through the shot. And that makes me sync up the body and the arms as one rather than the arms flipping out on me. Now, you'll see that went left on me there, which is fine because I obviously had the face more shut and I did catch the ground a little bit. I didn't feel like I rotated through that as good. But one more. So we're here. I'm going to feel like I'm constantly pushing it away, so my arms probably won't get much past 11 o'clock. And then from here, ball goes around more, pushing it away. And we're there. Now I'm hitting some pushes and push draws here. But I think with your pattern, I get the club way more behind you. And I think with your pattern of it not being as high, but maybe just a touch more behind, I think that will help a lot. So look, we went through a lot. This is lesson 1. But I wanted to explain everything in great detail. But reality is we've just got to get a slightly better setup, keep this ball pushed away, and don't roll it around. They're the things that I really want you to do. So I hope that helps, and I will speak to you very soon.